Welcome to this special edition of the Basketball Show podcast. I'm your host, Paul Sir. By special edition, I really mean that because I'm talking with Miranda Ayim. Miranda hails from London, Ontario, and she had a great NCAA career, marvelous pro career, and played in 3 Olympics for Canada. We spent a good amount of time talking about her career and what's in store for the Canadian women's Olympic team. So sit back and enjoy my conversation with Miranda Ayim. Welcome back to the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. I'm your host, Paul Sir. The Olympics are here. That's no surprise to anyone. But as we look at the 3 teams that are going into the Olympics representing Canada, the women's national team certainly has a special place, and that would be an understatement in the hearts of Edmontonians, because of the fact that they have been using Edmonton as their training base since 2013. And I think the best way to put this is when you see the teams that are in the Olympics now, you have to look at the shoulders of the people that led the way that they're standing on as they head into Paris with high hopes for being in the thick of the competition for medals. And a big part of the senior women's national team, as we call them, which is really the Canada Basketball Olympic team, is my next guest. And that's Miranda Ayim, who spent many sessions here in Edmonton. Miranda, thank you so much for joining me today.
So happy to be here with you today, Paul.
Well, Miranda, first of all, before we jump into the past, let's start in the present. You're no longer playing basketball professionally or with the national team, but you're certainly very involved in basketball. Tell everybody about what you're doing now in your career.
Yeah, that's right. I am in what I like to call my retirement era. Obviously not retired from life, but retired from professional sports. But honestly, what I do on a day-to-day basis still echoes a lot of what I did with the Olympic team. Now I work with a lot of professionals and even in the corporate space as well, helping people achieve their goals with a lot more purpose and peace. So on a day-to-day basis, that's either with private clients or groups and teams or at events, giving a keynote. But I talk about all those things that helped make us as a team and me as an individual successful in what I did, all those strategies that help us focus, regulate our emotion, move through and past mistakes and failures. And we all need a little bit of that in our everyday life and in our work life as well. So I love exploring those different areas.
Well, first of all, for everybody who maybe isn't familiar with your career, Miranda, talk about your basketball career, where you played post-secondarily, where and how long you were with the national team program, because people need to know this.
Yeah, so I grew up in London, Ontario, born in Chatham, moved to London when I was about 5 and started my basketball career here. And I eventually got a full scholarship down to the States, where I went to Pepperdine University in California. And after 4 years there, got my degree and promptly put it not to use and turned pro and went overseas. And even up to that point, I had already been playing with the developmental national team. So at the age of 13, I started with what we called at the time MDP, so the Midget Development Program, and then you go into the Junior Development Program. Now it's just like U18, whatever the age group is. Played with that all through high school, all through university, and then when I graduated university in 2010, I finally made the Senior Women's National Team, which was incredible. So I was playing both with our Olympic team and also overseas. So my first 3 seasons playing professionally were in Turkey, which is a really great league for women's basketball and also just a great place to live as well. And also in France. So after those first 3 years, I moved to France, started off in Toulouse, France, so South Central, and then spent my last 6 years in a tiny city called Mont-de-Marsan. It's like an hour 15 from Bordeaux. So a little bit all over the place, both with Team Canada and also professionally.
I'm talking with Miranda Ayim here on the Basketball Show, and we're talking about her career as a player with the senior women's national team, but now moving on with her career, consulting with people, taking advantage of her life experience through sport and helping them be more successful in their own lives here on the Basketball Show. All right, so Miranda, with that in mind, you played with the national team for a long, long time. You were part of 3 Olympics, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
No small accomplishment. I'd like to touch on, I really love the history of what the women's national team accomplished, but I really want to touch on 2012 because as time moves on, I mean, it's hard to believe that's already 12 years ago, but as time moves on, the significance of what your team accomplished there when you literally were not taken seriously at all as a basketball nation in women's basketball as having much of a chance, if any. But take us through what it took to qualify, because you did something spectacular against everybody's, I guess, best guess would be the best way to put it. But in the end, you found a way to win with a real counterintuitive approach to how you were going to compete in the Olympic qualifying process.
I love this question because it gets back to the heart and all of the grime that went on before where we are at now. And I'm so appreciative of that time together with the team. And often when people ask what my favorite Olympic memory is, I say it's before we even got to the Olympics, because it was a road to get there that was so interesting. I'll take you back to 2011 at the qualification tournament to get to London 2012. And we were giving it our all and played to the very last minute of the very last game. And we ultimately lost the game against Argentina. And that was what we thought was our last chance to qualify for London 2012. And we hadn't qualified for the Olympics for, I think, about 12 years before that point. And there was a final last-ditch tournament the following year. I think it's just a couple months out before the Olympics. And for all the people who take care of logistics, that's not a lot of time to plan for an Olympic event.
That's right.
And so we finally made it there. And again, last minute of the tournament against Japan, we qualified for London 2012. And it was after years and years and years of work. Many women whose names we don't even know poured their blood, sweat, and tears to build to that moment, overhauling our entire program, our entire approach to offense, if you want to get into that for the basketball nerds. And then this release of emotion when we finally won that game and realized, hey, we're going to London 2012. And we haven't really looked back since then because we've qualified consecutively since that point.
Well, and that's such a great point. It really was a springboard. I mean, the kind of quintessential example of springboarding forward with all of the struggles that you referred to for the people that came before you. And so now let's speed it up to 2024 as we head into Paris. It's a much different women's basketball program for Canada basketball now than 2012, when I remember when and this really was a primary motivation for the initiative that I started, but that was then picked up by the city of Edmonton to bring the women's national team here, because at that time you guys were kind of going wherever you could get gym time and staying in whatever dorms and eating in whichever cafeterias would feed you. Isn't that correct?
Oh my goodness. Yes. We bounced around for many years before we landed in Edmonton. And when you said 2013 was the first year that we spent, like, time zooms by so quickly. I'm so appreciative to the city of London. They were so welcoming when we arrived, always came out and supported. I look back on my time, my summers, every summer that I spent there while I was training with the national team, I look back with fond memories. And yes, you're certainly right. There has been quite an evolution of the program. I think having a consistent home base played a large role in that. Also, the overhaul of our offensive and defensive program by Allison McNeil and then carried on by Lisa Tomaitis was really integral to us because we didn't have as many scoring threats as we do now. So we really had to work smarter in what we were doing, both offensively and defensively, in order to compete at an international level. And now we have super athletic athletes coming up. Both the vets who are there now, who were my baby rookies. So we're passing the torch along, and this integration of now head coach Victor LaPena, really being super dynamic in transition and defensive and imposing our will on others instead of just being happy to be there. Obviously, we had a lot of grit and grind and desire in 2012 and in 2016, but now we're expected to be there and we're expected to do something.
Expectations are interesting, aren't they, Miranda? Because you come from the dark horse. Nobody really takes you that seriously. Now, that no longer is the case at all. Canada ranked in the top 5. Now, when you show up, people are prepared for you, and they take Canada real seriously. Let's jump to the Paris Olympics. What's your assessment of where Canada basketball, where the women fit into this very, very tough women's field in the Olympics this year?
Yeah, it's a super tough pool. And honestly, all the pools are tough. It's the best teams in the world, best athletes in the world. So regardless of your lineup, it's going to be a tough road to get there. We're starting against France on Monday. France, we're very familiar with this team. A lot of our players play professionally in France. So there's a bit of camaraderie there as well with our counterparts. I feel confident about our team with that first game. And the reason why I focus on that is because it kind of gives the confidence to the team if we're setting the ball rolling and also sending a message to the other teams that are there at the tournament of, okay, we're here to play. And then it also relieves a little bit of that pressure and expectation that we were talking about of, okay, we've got one win on our side. We just need to get another one to get through that pool. And then so France, then we're lining up against Australia and Nigeria. Both are really excellent teams. Both bring something different to the playing field. So I'm really excited to tune in and watch.
As am I. And I think, like, when you're talking about the matchup against France, I mean, you're talking about if you can beat them, you're beating the home team. And that is a big signal that is, I think, even more impactful in sending that message out. And I'm talking to Miranda Ayim, longtime member of Canada Basketball's national team here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. I would be remiss if I did not talk about the phenomenon in women's basketball that's taking place. It's quite something. Now, I have to confess something, Miranda. I'm from Iowa. So the Caitlin Clark phenomenon takes on such a disproportionate amount of favoritism on my part. But, you know, my 91-year-old mother, who has macular degeneration, sat in front of the TV for every one of Caitlin's game with her Iowa Hawkeyes jersey on. I have family that goes there, etc. But it's not just Caitlin, of course. You can go down the list of athletes, Angel Reese, on and on and on, of the great athletes. But there are times in history, in sport, whether it's Tiger Woods, whether it's Magic and Bird, whether it's Jordan, what you can refer to so many sports where one singular figure, for whatever reason, galvanizes people, and it serves kind of like as an atomic particle and creates this explosion of interest. And that has been the outcome. Talk about the long overdue appreciation and interest that continues to grow and develop for women's basketball.
Paul, I love the way that you put it. I don't think I've had it explained that beautifully. The integration of all those different aspects that you can't even predict, right? Honestly, it took me by surprise, and I'm very much in the basketball world. I did not see that coming, and I have people coming up to me almost on a daily basis saying like, oh yeah, like what's going on with Caitlin Clark, or what's going on with the WNBA, or did you see this latest piece of news? And I think it's fantastic. I'm so excited for this next generation. It's put women's basketball on the map. And for me, I don't care who holds the mantle. If you're bringing eyes to the game, excellent. I love it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I think sometimes the WNBA and people have struggled with their good fortune. One analyst I talked to, one basketball analyst, said, "I hope we don't kill the goose that lays the golden egg, because we get in the weeds. Let's fly and let's enjoy this ride."
Yeah, I understand all the undercurrents that go on when there's a lot of frustration of working in the dark and not getting your dues for so many years, because there's so much incredible talent in the WNBA and beyond. So I understand it, but at the same time, let's support whoever that current mantlehead is, and that there's a trickle down effect that we've already seen going to other athletes in the WNBA and beyond. Social media has done such a great job of sharing stories. So we're getting a little bit of a sneak peek into the personality and the brand and the athlete behind everything that goes onto the court. And that is what creates fans. People aren't really into it just for the pure skill, unless you're a hardcore sport nerd. It is a little bit of like, oh, I like this person, I'm drawn to them, I want to follow them, and now I'm invested in it. And we've seen that come full circle with the bid being awarded to Toronto and all of that starting in 2026. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition as well.
Absolutely. A couple of quick thoughts, and I'm sorry to go on a bit of a tangent here, but I think they're relevant. You talk about special circumstances creating fans from people who really don't even know or understand the game. One of my favorite stories is when the Raptors were at their peak and going for the championship in 2019. Of hearing the story of an 80-some-year-old lady saying, "I sure like that Kawhi Leonard. He has really nice hair." And she was a big Raptors fan, because it just captures something in people that doesn't necessarily have to relate to the sport or the game or the player themselves. But I have to tell you what, Miranda, did the WNBA ever get it right with the All-Star game that they just had? I mean, the NBA All-Star game to me is just fingernails on a blackboard. Unwatchable. I never watch it anymore. It is just brutal basketball. It's just to me, it's just a bunch of guys showing off, and it's not interesting. This game was interesting. This was the real deal at so many levels. And to see that kind of intense competition of excellent players, both representing the U.S. Olympic team, but also coming from all these other teams coming together. And as you referred to before, these storylines that are going on at the same time. I thought that was one of the greatest moments amidst all of these great moments that are taking place for women's basketball.
Wow, I love it. And I will admit, I'm in the same exact camp as you of not usually tuning in to the All-Star games for the exact same reasons that you did. So I didn't even watch, but I have seen my timeline flooded of had such a great time at the WNBA All-Star. It looked like everybody, the energy was there, the enthusiasm was there. You just spoke to the on-court prowess of the individuals who were there. I think it's a good glimmer to what's going to be going on at the Olympics.
Miranda, what's next for you? Continuation with your present career path? Have you other initiatives, endeavors that you can share with us? I won't tell anybody, I promise.
Yeah, we won't tell anybody.
No one else will know. It's just between us.
Well, in the immediate short term, I'm going to hop off here and go immediately to watch the opening ceremonies, because I'm super pumped to see Team Canada to come in and all of our athletes proud and looking beautiful in those Lulu kits. Other than that, yeah, continuing to work and engage with the community here on the various projects that I have. If people are interested, they can follow me on Instagram at MJ Ayim and at my website, cultivateco.ca. All the info is there, and you can follow along with whatever I'm doing on whatever day.
Well, Miranda, I can't thank you enough for coming today. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, but I think especially now when you have, you have your playing career in the rearview mirror, but you're, of course, moving forward and impacting lives as you are, and also taking the pride that you must feel about the success of the Canadian women's team and all the hopes that we all have for this team. And of course, plug to our 3x3 women, all from Alberta to from Edmonton. You're very familiar and played with both. I mean, it's and the men, of course. So it's an exciting, unparalleled, exciting time in basketball. And Miranda, you've been a huge part of basketball in this country. Thanks so much for joining me today on The Basketball Show.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Miranda Ayim joining me on The Basketball Show on Sports 1440. We'll be right back after these messages.